Welcome to Ask GMBN Tech. This is our weekly Q&A session. You ask the questions about mountain bike tech, any queries you have about your bike setup on your bikes, any mechanical problems you have, and hopefully we give you something resembling an answer that will be useful for you. Any questions you have, let us know in the comments underneath. Use that hashtag Ask GMBN Tech. As you probably noticed, I'm at home in my workshop. I'm not in the GMBN Tech set at work. That's because I've got some really cool new stuff I'm going to be fitting to a bunch of my bikes. I'm going to need to work from home for a few days. That said, this could be a pretty good setup, so I'm trying the self-shoot thing. So let us know what you think. If you think I'm doing a bad job, a good job, an alright job, could I do it better, all that sort of stuff. Let us know in the comments underneath. And likewise, if there's anything particularly you want to know about me or this place, fire away for next time. Again, in those comments. Okay, so let's dive into the first question. Okay, so first question comes from Josh Reardon. Hi Tech lads, I'm looking at upgrading to a bigger front rotor as mine are up for replacement. I currently have a Shimano Saint 203mm on a Fox 40. I want to go to 220 plus rotors, but keep the Shimano Saint brakes. I ride a high bike downhill pro e-bike, so the bigger brakes would definitely be an advantage. Yeah, 100% they would. What adapter do I need to make the 220 plus rotors fit? Cheers guys, keep up the good work. Do you know, at the moment it's quite limited in the amount that are available in the aftermarket. I know we've seen a lot of different ones floating around on a downhill scene, varying from 220 to 223, and there's even been a 246. Can you imagine having that? It'd be like sticking a big stick in your front wheel. Absolutely like vice-like grip for a brake. Now for 220, as far as I know at the moment, on the market, the ones that are available, the formula is out there. So 220mm, they also make a formula adapter suitable to adapt that to a Fox 40 fork. So I think that is the one that you probably want. The other option that you want to consider is the Trick Stuff brand. Now Trick Stuff are a German manufacturer. They make all sorts of different brake rotors. I think they make brake pads and all sorts of other stuff as well. Now they make a 223, so that's a nearer Shimano equivalent because the fact that they do a 203, so jumping up 20mm. And you can go for either as long as you've got the correct brake mount adapter. I'm not sure if they actually do an adapter because on their website currently it's not been updated. It hasn't got that new 223 on there, but it is coming. We've seen this at various shows, so it will be out there. If not already, and the site might just be out of date. So keep an eye out there, but currently I'd go for the formula option. It's already available online. Okay, so next question is from Stephen Jones. How does tyre sealant actually work? Is it magic? What is the stuff in tyre sealant that actually does the sealing? You're not Steve Jones from EMBN, are you? This is the sort of question Steve would ask, because Steve's not too hot on his tech stuff, but we like to inform everyone. Everyone needs to know this stuff, it's useful. All right, so I'm going to use stands as an example here. I've got an old bottle here, unfortunately it's a bit, not much left in it. Okay, so typical tyre sealant like stands, for example, latex based, so it's got a lot of natural rubber in it. It's a rubber solution and it has rubber particles floating in it. Now every brand is slightly different in their formula. Some have more latex, some even have ammonia and other products within them to help stabilise the solution. Now the concept is those rubber particles float around within that sealant, and when the tyre is cut, those particles find their way into the hole, and the combination of that and the air coming in to solidify that solution around that area bungs up the hole and seals it. Now some solutions are really, really good at sealing big and small holes. Some are not too good at the bigger holes. They're all completely varying. You kind of have to find what works well for you. Some are very good in low temperatures, some just don't work too well when it's cold. And of course some don't work too well on certain tyre combinations. There's a lot out there. And the best port of call to find out what works for you is simply to ask your other fellow riders. They will have similar experiences, and you'll find, just like tyre combinations in the local dirt to where you ride, you'll find there will be a pattern of what, you know, there'll be, out of 10 riders, you might find that 6 riders will pick, let's say, Maxxis, and that might be a good solution for local to you. So definitely go with the majority in your local area and you'll find what works. But something I do want to talk about is this sort of tyre sealant. So this is a little bit different. This is more of a wet solution, doesn't dry up as much as some of the latex based solutions do that leave those sort of bogies on the inside of your tyres. and these have what appears to be glitter on the inside. Now it's not glitter, and this is an important little thing to say because these are completely environmentally friendly. Now glitter, as we know, alongside other like sort of kids products and makeup products, are being found in the sea, basically as tiny particles of plastics, and that is not good, so we all need to try and do our bit to help the environment. Now the cool thing about this stuff that does look like glitter, it's not. So they call them nanoplatelets, I think. They're biodegradable nanoplatelets, in fact, and they're completely environmentally safe. They're completely harmless to anything. And the cool thing is they're actually made from eucalyptus bark, which is bonkers. That's really cool tech. I'm actually going to get Tom from PT's to come on as a guest at some point to try and tell us exactly how they make this stuff, because he is the chemist, and you can actually see him in this clip.
This is a eucalyptus tree. This is eucalyptus bark, and it sheds naturally, and this is what our glitter and our sealant is made out of. It's completely biodegradable. It's gonna fall on the ground anyway, so why not use it to stop your punctures?
Okay, next up is from Peter SKULIMOWSKI. Will changing head angle with special headsets, I think what he's referring to there is the gimbal style cup headsets with enable you to change the angle. Will changing these with a special headset from 66 to 65 degrees compensate for adding 10 to 20mm travel fork? I wonder how it would work if I changed my 160 Pike for 170 to 180 Yari in my 2015 Strife. Okay, so firstly, things like the Cane Creek angle set, this is one you can see on screen here. It's essentially headset cups, and they have a gimbal that floats within them. Now, according to the variety of cup option you have, there's various from 1/2 degree to 2 degrees, and it does depend on the compatibility of the length of your head tube and the orientation of your head tube. There's loads of different options that, well, may or may not fit your bike, essentially. Cane Creek actually do a calculator, and it has most bike brands on there and most popular models, so you can help identify. I'm going to put a link to that calculator underneath this video so you can help try and look at that yourself to understand it, and it will list the headset combinations like ZS44 or EC55 or whatever it is for your combination. Now these are really good, they are quite expensive, but what it does mean is you can experiment with your head angle, like Peter is talking about here. Your other option for changing your head angle is to make your front end higher or lower by subtracting or adding travel to your fork, or by putting a longer or shorter fork on there. Now the good thing about having a gimbal headset cup system is you don't really change your ride height of your bike too much. If you go to a full 2 degrees, I think you can lose a few millimeters of stack off your bike. But we're talking a nominal amount, you won't really notice, and if you did, maybe a 5mm headset spacer underneath your stem would be all you need to rectify that position, and then you've got the benefit of having a slightly slacker head angle, and you haven't really changed your seat angle. Again, you might have changed it like 0.2 of a degree or something minimal that you'll never notice, and if you did, if you are the sort of rider that could notice that, a slight angle change on your saddle would be enough to get around that. However, if you adjust your fork travel, then you do change 3 things on your bike. You change the seat angle, you change your bottom bracket height, and of course you change the head angle. Now, by going from 150 to a 170 fork, say, right, you know, you're going to take it up maybe 1/2 degree, even a degree you can take off that head angle, depending on the axle to crown height. Tends to be about that per 10mm, depending on the options. So let's just say you take a degree off the head angle, great, that's going to be good. But you're also going to take a degree off your seat angle. That's going to make your seat angle slightly slacker, so to rectify that, you need to put your saddle pointing down very slightly and forward a little bit more than usual to return your position. And by doing that, you're actually going to make the reach of your bike effectively slightly shorter when you're sat on it. Well, let's just say the top tube of your bike rather than the reach, although the reach will change slightly when you're stood up, and the reach of course is measured from bottom bracket straight up and then 90 degrees straight across to the handlebar position. And the reason we use reach as a measurement rather than the top tube length is clearly because when you're stood up on the bike, that is the one that makes a difference, whereas top tube length only makes a difference when you're sat down on the bike. Now the downsides of this, of course, are you raising the bottom bracket height, so your stability on your bike is going to change. Now if you live somewhere where it's extremely rocky and rooty perhaps, or lots of off camber, and you strike your pedals a lot, this could be a really good thing for you. And likewise, if you're a gravity focused rider, you spend more time descending, you're not going to notice it too much. However, in the corners, being a little bit higher on the bike, you are going to notice that, Peter. So you need to take that into account. If I was you, I wouldn't change the travel of the bike, and I would experiment with angled headset cups. Now, the more expensive option, like I mentioned earlier, is to go for the Cane Creek version, because that means you can tailor it. You can get different options, you can chop and change, and that's really cool because you can experiment and you make notes of what handles in what situations and get the best for you. But if you want a cheaper option, look at Works Components. They're available online, direct sale, straight to you. They're shipped, as far as I know, pretty much anywhere. And they do options from 0 to 2 degrees, but it's a set in stone measurement. So you have to pick the one that you're happy with. Changing by degree will make your bike handle really, really well. If you go any more than that, you can mess it up. So just take care when you're doing that. All right, next one is from BIKER.LAD. Dodstars 1979. Are you able to make a video on how you made your chainstay protector, the one with 3M mastic tape? Yeah, I'll show you shortly. I'll come back to this question at the end of this list of questions because I have to move things around a bit. I'll get my Canyon off the wall there, I'll put it in the work stand and I'll show you exactly how I did it. Nice and simple. Like I said, I'll come back to that one. Next up is from Patrick Reese. Ask GMBN Tech. You guys use loads of different tools, but what I want to know is which tools can't you live without? Which ones don't you need? Do you really need all those tools? No, to be fair, we don't need all tools. You know, tools can be a luxury, but the important thing is, you know, ultimately you need the right tool for the job every time. But that said, on a daily basis, the ones I absolutely can't live without, basic Y wrench, Allen keys, and the little tiny multi-tools. I've got a couple floating around here actually. These things. So this is the Torx version. There's all the Torx wrenches on here, and this is the Allen version. In fact, this one, the AWS 10, this is ancient. I've had this about 15 years. You can tell the colour is barely even Park Tool Blue. So sorry, Park, but I don't really want another one because this one does the job so well. These go everywhere with me. In fact, I've got 2 more of these and they live in the car boot in a little organiser I've got because you literally use them for everything. The Allen key and Torx key to a degree, probably responsible for about 90% of the jobs that you do on a bike. As for other tools, I mean, there's a lot of tools I use on a daily basis. Cable cutters are an essential. You do need those. You can't really change cables on a bike without having a proper quality set of cable cutters, but that's definitely a buy once tool. And I can't recommend enough, whatever brand you go for, just buy a good one. If you buy a cheap one, you're going to end up buying another set again. I've got 2 sets of Park cable cutters. One of them, they're well over 20 years old, and they have just gone blunt. So what I do now, I've put a bit of silver tape around them, just so I know that they're the blunt ones, and I use those here and there for cutting spokes or maybe some other random jobs. They will still cut stuff. They're not quite sharp enough anymore to do cables accurately, so I've got myself another set. And I'll do another 20 years, so happy days, well worth the money. As for tools that I really love using, they're probably the tools that make jobs a lot easier. Now, these won't be necessities for people, but they're tools nonetheless that are really nice to use. For example, I mean, this is quite a classic, a bottom bracket tool, and it's got the little wheel on it for adjusting a preload on Shimano cranks. I haven't really got any Shimano cranks on any bikes at the moment, but this is a really old tool, as you can see. Again, you know, I've had this stuff for years. It's a really nice tool to use. Again, it's not an essential because arguably you could go to a bike shop and borrow one of these. How often do you actually change your bottom bracket? But to me, I need this stuff. I work with bikes all the time. Other tools that I genuinely love using, again, these are something that most people won't tend to use. These are Fox tools, a 26 to 28. And what's this one? A 32. So that's for a 40, for a 34 and a 36 fork to take them apart. Basically, take the air legs out so you can service your forks. Not everyone needs these, but they're flattened off sockets, and to be honest, I just love them. They're just really, really nice to use. A few other tools here that I love using that aren't a necessity for a lot of people. This one here from Park, this thing actually is a bit of a game changer. I used to use a tool made by Avid, so this is pre-SRAM, for trimming the hoses on brakes, and it looked a bit like a cigar cutter. It's really cool, and I still have that tool and I do use it time to time. But now Park do this one that does the same thing. In fact, it does a few different jobs. You've got the blade cutter there for trimming your hose, and it comes with spare blades, but you can also fit a barb in with it as well. So you have a little clamp here at the top for clamping the cable, and you can squeeze the barb straight into place. It's a really simple tool, and it's a case of, guys, why didn't you do this sooner? But it's what I like about Park. They always come out with new tools. Again, all right, so another tool, this isn't even a workshop-based tool. This is something that lives in my riding bag, so a very different style tool. This one's from Topeak. It's a mini ratchet system. this is absolutely brilliant because on some of my bikes, I've got bottle cages and stuff, and you can't get in with the regular Allen key set. And having a mini ratchet, listen to that, the action is so nice on it. I've always had one of these are really good. This is the most modern version of it. The cool thing about this is it comes with torque settings as well for 6, 5 and 4 Newton meters, and they're compatible with all of the sockets they come with, so it's a really good system. There's also a couple of tie levers in there as well. I've got to say I don't really use tie levers too much, only here and there, but again that lives in either my camera bag or in my riding bag. Completely invaluable. And I did make a post actually on Instagram recently about my Ninja bottle cage. This is another one, it's not the one off that bike, and on the bottle cage at the bottom it's got like a little caddy, little carrier. This can be moved around. In fact, if it's bolted to the bike, you can move this around basically to the angle that you want it at, and it stores a multi-tool on the inside. That's got a chain tool, it's got all the common tools you need, and it stays on the bike. I absolutely love this because sometimes I just want to chuck a bottle in and go for a little lunchtime blast, and having that on the bike will always deal with those eventualities. Again, that's a tool of luxury. It's not something that everyone's going to have. It's an additional tool because you'll probably have some sort of multi-tool. You might use that as your tool at home. If you can afford it though, it's worth having a few different options. Something to keep in a car if you drive to the trails, something to keep on your bike is a really good idea, especially if you're forgetful like me sometimes. And of course, something good quality to use at home. All right, next one. I can't believe this is on the list of questions. Nitro_break gaming. Hi Doddy, why does tyre sealant set my fire alarm off? I'm not really sure, to be honest. I'm not an expert in fire alarms. I've got a carbon monoxide alarm. I've got like a toast proof alarm in the kitchen. I've got regular fire alarms and smoke alarms around the house. I've never had them set off by any sort of bike products at all, in fact. And I did try this when I read this question because it's a bit of a random one. But the only thing that I could think is perhaps you've got a multi-use detector that might do carbon monoxide and various other things. You get ammonia in some solutions, and ammonia is stuff that's found in chemicals in fridge coolant systems and that. And ammonia in the quantities you get in fridge things, if it leaks, it's actually a bit of a problem. So there may be some sort of catering spec alarms out there to pick up on the ammonia, but I'm not really sure, to be honest. I'd love to know if anyone knows why tyre sealants might be setting off your smoke alarms. If you do know, help us out, let us understand this. I'm not a chemical man, don't really know these things. I'd love to know that, so let us know in those comments, and we'll pick it up on the next show. All right, next up from Louis Smith. Hi, I was wondering what would be better, a new 2019 £1,800 enduro bike or a used 2016 £3,000 enduro bike selling for 900 quid. Thanks, Louis. Okay, well, two great choices there. You can't deny that the 900 quid second-hand bike is going to be amazing for the money. But there's a few little things you just need to factor in. Now, I would encourage people to buy second-hand because I think it's nice to see bikes being used again on the market. You don't always have to buy new stuff. However, enduro bikes, if the owner has ridden it as an enduro bike, they'll have raced that bike, which means there's a good chance it's been raced to the end of its life, basically. It could be a tatty old state, it could be stretched, it could have stress marks, it could be cracked, any number of things. So that's going to be up to you, Louis, to inspect that bike. Now, we're going to do a buyer's guide soon on how to buy a bike, how to buy one online. We're actually going to buy one and show you that advice. Unfortunately, this video is a little bit early for that. However, I can tell you a few of the things you need to do. So when you do inspect a bike, if it's an aluminium frame, there's a bunch of areas you're going to need to check. Flip it upside down, check around the bottom bracket shell for any cracks, any dings, anything that looks suspicious to you. The same around the head tube area, and look at all pivot mounts on the main frame. The rear triangle is not as much of an issue because you can replace those components, but as soon as the main frame is done, it starts to get very expensive to do that. Kind of use your common sense. If there's anything that's jumping out to you, you know, wave the white flag and get out of there. But if the owner that's selling that bike is completely honest and said, yeah, it's been raced, it's been looked after, it's been well serviced, it's had a new bearing kit, it's got a few scuffs from, you know, a bit of battle scars on there, then you should be fine. Honesty is always the best policy from a buying and selling point of view. That said, there is something you do need to consider if you're going to buy a second-hand bike. Consider how future-proof it may or may not be. So a 2016 bike, it may not be boost. What I mean by boost is the front wheel, the axle, instead of being 100mm, the old school one. Boost is 110, and on the rear end it was 142 and now it's 148. That's pretty much industry standard these days, and it's very easy to get those components. It's a bit harder, although you can still get them, to get the regular 100mm and 142. Also consider that most bikes these days are 27.5 inch wheel or 29s. If that bike's 26, although there are still going to be plenty of options out there, they will start to slowly decrease. So while I'm not suggesting that 26 is dead and you shouldn't buy a 26, just consider how long you might want to keep the bike and the sort of upgrades you want to do. It might be an amazing bike off the peg, you might just need new tyres and disc rotors, in which case, happy days, get involved with it. But just use your common sense a bit. Whereas the new bike, the advantages you're going to have with that, okay, so it's quite expensive off the cuff, so it's just under £2,000. What you're going to get is a guarantee and a warranty with that bike straight out, which is something you're never going to get with a used bike. So that is a great thing, which means you get any problems within the amount of time specified, you're going to be able to sort that out. So that's a really good thing for your money. However, at that price point, the componentry on the bike and the overall weight of the bike is not going to be as good as that cheaper second-hand bike you're looking at. So you kind of got to weigh these things up yourself. But like I said, just consider, write a list of pros and cons, and one of them will stand out to you as what looks like the best option. And if it's second-hand, then just take your time and buy and don't rush into it. Really be careful with that, and you might get an amazing bike. Good luck. Okay, so back to BIKER.LAD. I said to come back to this question. I've got my trusty Canyon in the work stand. Incidentally, actually, when I mentioned tools I love using the most, my work stand, because of the fact I use it literally every single day. Come home from work on the bike's always wet, chuck it in the stand, give the drivetrain a quick clean, fresh bit of lube. There's always something going on with the work stand. Couldn't live without it. Anyway, back to this chainstay protector. Now this is made from Scotch mastic tape. It is 2228. They do two different thicknesses of this tape. They do the 25 and they do the 50. Now I normally buy the 25, but I couldn't get it this time. It's quite hard to get hold of. This is the 50mm stuff. And quite simply, I cut it into a 25mm strip, put a strip along the chainstay. But then to add the real silencing feature, what I got was an old handlebar grip, happens to be an old retro Yeti grip. I know that some retro people out there will curse me for doing it, but I don't know where the other one is, so I thought I may as well use it. The rubber is really soft, so I cut up a few chunks and placed them along the chainstay, and then held them on with a bit more mastic tape in a wavy fashion over the top, then just sealed up the gap on the side. Now the effect of that is not only is the mastic protecting the chainstay, but these lumps are actually really, really soft. So they act as mini shock absorbers. So when the chain hits it, it makes zero noise. This isn't the neatest version. I'm gonna make a better version on another bike, but this works so well, I'm not taking it off my Canyon. It's completely silent. The only downside with the Scotch tape is it is quite expensive. It's about 20 quid for a roll. That said, you can make a lot of chainstay protectors and a lot of other things with it. So it's worth getting some. I've always got some in my workshop. It's really good stuff. And yeah, try around, get yourself an old pair of handlebar grips, or any old bit of soft rubber will do, to be honest, and make some little spongy, lumpy bits for your chainstay. There's a technical term for you. Heard it here first. Well, there we go. That is the end of this week's Ask GMBN Tech. Hopefully you enjoyed my self-shot attempt at doing this. Let us know what you think, and don't forget to ask some questions for next week's show. Again, anything personal, great, you can always ask directly to me, and ask to Henry as well. Ask Henry and ask Doddy. Put those directly in the comments and we'll pick them up individually on our respective shows. As always, don't forget to give us a huge thumbs up here at GMBN Tech. Hit the little subscribe button up there, hit the bell for notifications, and I'm just going to throw a couple more videos right down there.